Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, give us a call or a text on the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell proves that he doesn't know anything about anything because he wants prolific offenders not to be in jail. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
I go offline for one day, and the Portland story has become exponentially worse. Let's go back to where we left it. Where we left it was Katie Daviscourt was the only reporter down there with a couple of independent journalists covering the rioting that was going on. Katie has been down there from the Post-Millennial for over 100 consecutive nights of the Antifa lunatics rioting outside the ICE facility in Portland. What happened the night before we went offline for the holiday was Katie was assaulted. A woman who's in Antifa garb is waving a Palestinian flag, waving it near Katie's face, bashes her in the face with it. Katie goes down and then follows this woman. Antifa swoops in with their umbrellas, creates a tortoiseshell-looking thing around this woman, escorts her into an apartment nearby, which they are using as a staging area in a low-income housing development, which means taxpayer funded. Whether federal or local, I haven't dived into this specific facility, but they're definitely getting somebody's taxpayer dollars, whether it's us here in Seattle or just the people in Portland. They're getting that money, and now they're using it as an Antifa staging area, at least one unit in this building. Now, Katie grabbed a police officer and said, hey, look what just happened to me. There she goes. There she goes. And Portland police are like, no, we're not going to do anything about it. The Portland police then send out a flyer with a picture of this person saying they're looking for her. You had her. You could have arrested her, and you did nothing. Well, since then, things have only gotten worse. Nick Sorter, he's another independent journalist. He's out there streaming. And when he went out there the other night, some Hamas-supporting, Antifa-loving lunatics are burning an American flag. Nick sees this, grabs the flag, takes it away from them, and they arrest him. Let me make sure I got this right. He didn't assault anybody. He didn't hurt anybody. He stopped an American flag from being burned, and the Portland police treated it as if he is disrespecting somebody else's First Amendment rights. So, you will arrest the journalist who is trying to stop an American flag from being burned, but you won't arrest the person who assaulted a journalist with a flagpole holding a flag that wants the destruction of everybody in America. Makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Now, why is the left able to get away with this and only conservative media is mad about this? Because the mainstream media sucks. The mainstream media is terrible. Where is every single journalist screaming and yelling about Nick getting arrested? They should all be out there from ABC and NBC and CNN and MSNBC. What about Democracy Dies in Darkness? There's video of everything that happened to Nick, and yet you don't hear them saying anything. They're barely even covering what's going on down there. You may not know what KATU is. KATU is an outlet down in Portland that's like Como News here in Seattle. Except Sinclair, who owns both stations, is kind of smart. And even though they're a conservative brand, a conservative media conglomerate, they say, Portland people want to hear liberal news, give them the liberal news. Would you like to know how they are covering what's going on at the ICE facility? Ready for this? KATU chose to highlight the World Naked Bike Ride Portland, a group that is planning an emergency ride in response to Trump deploying the National Guard troops to defend the ICE facilities. Now, this entire article, which was a grand total of 4 or 5 lines, that's it, was just based on a tweet where they said, we need to have an emergency ride to protest the 200 National Guard troops being deployed to Portland. Oh, congratulations. Congratulations. You guys have saved the world. You bike riding, naked through Portland is going to fix everything. Just like the lady in the wheelchair who is buck naked banging on a drum. That's going to fix everything, but that's what the media is covering. The way the media, the lamestream media, has been covering this is, how can we go after Trump? How can we show there is resistance to this? Not, hey, there's all this violence going on outside the ICE facility in Portland. It's disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. It's insane to me. In fact, it gets way worse than that. Instead of investigating the violence, the Oregonians' safety team responded by publishing what amounted to a hit piece on Katie Davenport after she was assaulted, attempting to paint her as a far-right extremist. The article headline read, and the Oregonian is their version of the Seattle Times. It's their daily fish wrapper. It's even worse, if you can believe it. Their headline read, "Conservative media personality reports assault at Portland protest, slams police as Antifa." Not independent journalist or journalist assaulted at Portland. I'll even give you the word protest, right? The police admit it happened, but you guys need to put conservative media. Who cares? Do you guys put liberal media anytime it's MSNBC? Do you guys put liberal media anytime it's CNN? No, of course not. The article framed Davenport not as a journalist who was attacked while working, but as a right-wing personality who appeared on Fox News with the black eye, and compared the relatively small number of Portland protesters outside the ICE building nightly to ISIS. Hang on. Can we just process this for a second here? They're terrorists, whether they're foreign or domestic. They're doing the same kind of nonsense. And yet, you guys, okay, I'm sorry. You know what? They don't have bomb vests. We'll leave that for the guy in Manchester. There's your exception. The paper emphasized her appearances on conservative media, her association with Andy Ngo, Jack Posobiec, and downplayed the severity of the violence that federal officers and reporters have been documenting nightly. Now, something fascinating about this. The Oregonian, the day before they wrote this article, had asked Katie Davenport to comment on their article. They had said, we're going to be researching this. And what she wrote is, the reporter wanted to interview her about disagreement among many Portlanders and Oregonians over the size and impact of the protest outside the ICE facility. Katie's awesome. You know what she wrote? She posted a screenshot of the email to X with a blunt response. The answer is no. If local news reporters had any ground presence over the last 3 months, they would be reporting on the protests at the ICE facility the exact same way I have been. And she is 100% correct. So the Oregonian isn't used to getting stood up by somebody with principles and writes a hit piece on Katie Davenport the day after she gets assaulted by Antifa. Well, as soon as that happens, you know what happens in conservative world. Fox News immediately goes, hey, let's have Katie on. So Katie was on Jesse Waters just the other night.
Wow, that is quite a shiner. You all right?
Oh, yeah, I definitely have a black eye. So that's what it's been like covering Portland for the past 4 months. Complete lawlessness.
Wow. They say it's just one city block. Is that even true?
That's not true. So it went from being a war zone to one city block, but it's actually several blocks where that is completely controlled by Antifa affiliated protesters who harass, assault, and threaten anyone who they perceive to be a threat to their cause, including journalists, local residents, and ICE agents. And the Trump administration is absolutely correct in deploying federal troops here because Portland police has completely abandoned this zone. They refuse to go in, and everyone that shows up is on their own.
So it's kind of like Chaz or CHOP was in Seattle. They just, I guess, secede this territory, cede it to Antifa, and they just let everything play out?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So last night I got assaulted and I immediately ran to a Portland police officer hunted down the suspect, chased her through the streets and said, "This is my assault suspect. Can you guys finally do something?" And I had eyes on her for about 35 minutes. Portland police refused to come in and make an arrest. And I had 3 officers just standing there watching me try to hunt down this suspect. And imagine my anger when I go online after doing all of that about an hour ago. And I see Portland police put out a bolo asking for the public's help in identifying my assault suspect. So that is what it's like on the ground here in Portland. And it's time for a federal crackdown. The Trump administration needs to start treating Antifa like ISIS, the terrorists that they are, and put an end to them here for good.
Exactly. She's 100% right. How many times are we going to let them take over a block, 2 blocks? 1 block is too many. I don't care if it's 1 block. I don't care if it's 10 blocks. 1 block is too many. They have abdicated responsibility. But worse than that, they're helping. Portland City Council member Angelito Murillo, who's a socialist, is now facing backlash, according to the Post-Millennial, after posting a video online that appears to provide instructions for protesters on how to avoid identification while committing crimes during protests. In the video, Murillo advises individuals to evade detection by purchasing burner phones with cash, using encrypted messaging services to coordinate activities. She also instructs individuals to fully cover their faces to escape facial recognition technology, a tactic she suggests could help avoid law enforcement scrutiny. So, let me make sure I got this right. You want the ICE agents to take off their masks, but you guys want to wear the masks. Okay, we understand what's going on here. This is absolutely insane. So what does ICE have to say about all this? Now, all the outlets from conservative media have sent people there. That's why Nick Sorter was down there. Bill Malugin from Fox News was there. And you've seen a little bit of a change on the ground. And what the change on the ground is, a lot of people have been arrested on federal charges. And they know Trump isn't screwing around anymore. So they're behaving like the younger sibling. Anybody who has a younger sibling knows what I'm talking about. If you are an older sibling, your younger sibling will poke you. And then you go, "Mom, he poked me." And I go, "I didn't see it. What are you talking about?" "But he poked me." Antifa is doing as much as they can possibly get away with without getting arrested because now they're facing big boy time. So Bill Malugin talked with Portland's new ICE director, and here's what she had to say.
They're not really supposed to respond to this building. There have been folks that have been assaulted right down here on the street, even across the street, and it takes Portland police a while to respond, or sometimes they don't respond at all.
Is that frustrating?
It is frustrating. It's frustrating for us to watch people be attacked on the street and know that we don't have the authority to be able to really step in unless there's some nexus to federal law. That's frustrating for us.
And last night we did see multiple verbal scuffles almost get to the point of physical confrontations, all while the Portland police liaisons were standing just across the street watching everything, but deciding not to intervene. And that, in part, is why President Trump has said he is sending the National Guard here to Portland. He says the locals aren't doing their job when it comes to protecting this federal facility, so he's going to send the military in. But as of this morning, as you can see, the National Guard not out here just yet. We'll send it back to you.
All right. We'll be watching for that.
So, Attorney General Pam Bondi has now ordered a full investigation into the Portland Police Department after they arrested Nick Sorter for covering what was going on down there. It's beyond crazy that this is where we're at. So, now you've got Harmeet Dillon, who posted later that, yeah, they're going to be on this. It's crazy to me that they're arresting journalists down there. We've seen the video of what happens. So now, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Harmeet Dillon has launched an investigation into the assault of Katie Davenport and the arrest of Nick Sorter. So she says, your immediate attention to this is required. This is what she posted on social media. We write regarding Portland Police Bureau's response to incidents surrounding the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Facility in Portland, specifically the city of Portland's use of its policing powers in a manner that may be based on viewpoint discrimination. Oh, you think? So what is the White House considering doing? Here's the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt.
President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all. The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists. What's been allowed to happen in Portland, and we saw disturbing video footage of this last night, this is not peaceful protesting, this is left-wing anarchy that has been destroying this great American city for years, leaving police officers battered, citizens terrorized, and business properties damaged. Since early June alone, Antifa terrorists have laid siege to the ICE field office in South Portland. These radical left-wing lunatics have violently breached the ICE facility by using a stop sign as a battering ram, hurled explosives and other projectiles at law enforcement, repeatedly assault and dox officers, berate their law-abiding neighbors, and have even rolled out a guillotine in front of the ICE facility. And more people should be reporting on that. President Trump has sent federal law enforcement to protect federal assets and arrest those fueling this violence. Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. But instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night who are ravaging this community, the police arrested a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest.
The question is, why is nobody in that room upset about it? I know conservative media is about it, but where's ABC? Where's the Washington Post? Where's CNN? Where's any of these other guys?
From our understanding, in the law enforcement that we have here in the Homeland Security Task Force, I spoke with them this morning, and what they're seeing is that, unfortunately, local police has been restricted from responding or cooperating at all with federal authorities, which is completely absurd. We have surged federal law enforcement personnel to this city to restore law and order and to work alongside local law enforcement. And we've seen the benefits of this in Washington, D.C. And all of you live here, so you can agree Washington, D.C. is and feels much safer because of the cooperation between federal and local law enforcement. They can and must be working together, and we think it's despicable that these local elected officials who swear an oath to protect their people are preventing law enforcement from doing their jobs on the ground. So that's why the president has directed his team here at the White House, and they are already on it to look into how we can cut funds. And the president wants to work with anyone. If the mayor of Portland were to call him right now and say, Mr. President, please help us, I am sure the president would be willing to do that.
But here's the difference. They're not. In fact, they're doubling down on gaslighting all of us. That's perfectly fine and perfectly peaceful. For example, I keep going back to this because it's so insane. All you got to do is zoom in. When you look at those pictures of Tina Kotek walking hand in hand down the street with her wife to say, look how peaceful Portland is. Why are all the windows behind her boarded up? Why are all the windows behind her boarded up? Because so many businesses have moved out because Portland is such a trash heap. It's not just the ICE facility. It's the rampant drug use. It's the rampant homelessness. And only anybody who hasn't been there before will say it's a beautiful city, which it absolutely is not. It has been destroyed by leftist policies for too long, and now you've got a nightly riot going on in the middle of the city, and local officials are like, what are you talking about? It's perfectly safe here. If Donald Trump cured cancer tomorrow, they would start trying to get cancer. That's how insane these people are. That's how unhinged they are. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Ron in Tacoma. Ron, what's up?
Oh, well, two things. Number one is I noticed the Democrats are upset that the Republicans aren't negotiating with them today. I'd just like to clarify that it's the United States policy not to negotiate with terrorists. And two,
let's not call them terrorists, but funny. Yes, what's point number two?
Point number two is, like you were just saying, where's ABC? Where's all the news for Nick? Well, they're not news, so why would they show up?
Right, exactly. They don't cover the stuff. They're not covering the stuff. They're trying their best to avoid covering the stuff. All they're covering is Trump's reaction to this and then trying to downplay what's going on in Portland. Ron, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we talk about delusional politicians, nobody's more delusional than our very own Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell. There was another forum last night between him and Katie Wilson, and he said he doesn't want to put criminals in jail. We'll discuss when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show. Last night, the City Club, the Seattle Club, and Fox 13 hosted a debate between Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell and his challenger, Katie Wilson. Now, for those of you who haven't been following this too closely, let me be perfectly clear. No matter who wins, Seattle loses. Bruce Harrell had the opportunity last night to fix the perception of him since the primary. The perception of him leading into the primary was you ran on Law and Order, you have failed to deliver that, and then you ran to the far, far left because you're worried about your far, far left challenger. Katie Wilson is a socialist, and she actually believes in this insanity. She also hates Jews and supports Hamas. But you name it, she is anti-capitalism. She wants to socialize everything. Her and Zoran Mamdani, they're in lockstep on what they believe. She ran the Transit Riders Union for years, a far-left radical activist organization that really has very little to do with transit whatsoever. No matter who wins, you lose. But Bruce Harrell is such a dum-dum and so afraid of the left that he won't even say he wants to prosecute criminals. Last night, there were some excellent questions about the fact that we know that prolific offenders, that repeat offenders, are the ones causing most of the crime in Seattle. It's the broken windows philosophy. A lot of these criminals are the same people over and over and over again. So why don't we just put them behind bars? Bruce Harrell had the opportunity here to say he stands for law and order, and instead, to use a football analogy because he's been hit in the head too many times, punted. Actually, no, he fumbled the ball by giving one of the dumbest answers I have ever heard. No desire to put repeat offenders in jail. It doesn't matter if daddy hit you. It doesn't matter what mommy did to you. You still committed the crime. And now this answer only works for somebody like a young Ari Hoffman who did some really dumb things in a car one time, found himself in front of a judge, and the judge said he has no criminal record. Keep your nose clean, young man, and we'll clean up the mess you just made. Okay, because nobody was hurt, no harm, no foul, paid a whole bunch of fines, and lost my license for a year. Yeah, that was really exciting stuff when I was a dumb teenager. And you know what? I deserved it. But I never did it again. Ever. That's who he might be talking about. Somebody who has rough family circumstances. Instead, what is he doing? The question was about prolific offenders. And it's not 7 or 8 arrests. It's 60 or 70 arrests. Do you know why they had to go back to this question? Because he didn't answer it the first time he got it. Are you kidding me with this? Really? Are you kidding me with this? I didn't think he could get any dumber, but here we are. This is Mayor Bruce Harrell. It's insane. I don't know what he was talking about there. He was trying to thread the needle of, I don't want to put anybody in jail, but I want more police officers. He's trying to make everybody happy. He can't pick a side. He had a chance to say he was in favor of law and order, and instead, what does he say? He doesn't want to put criminals in jail. Give me more police officers because we got to put criminals in jail, but I don't want to put criminals in jail, but please put the criminals in jail. Dude took too many hits to the head when he was on UW football. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Sean in Clearview. Sean, what's going on?
Yeah, all right. Hey, I was noticing that with so much of the protesters, and I was looking at rappers and things on the ground and the things that the diet that these people have, and to say the least, it looks like it's all less than stellar. So I'm wondering, even though I'm not Jewish, perhaps if these people adopted a kosher diet, they would actually get the necessary nutrients they need and have their brain start to function, become an actual reasonable member of society.
I'll tell you, my friend, there's unfortunately some people in my faith, too, that are, let's just say, not in agreement with us on this kind of very good. That's very funny. That's very, very good. Sean, great call. Appreciate the humor. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a quick call from James in Tacoma. James, I only got a few minutes. A minute. Make it quick.
Hey, yeah, so on Wednesday, Trump announced that any cities he deems to be unsafe cities, he's going to pull those cities out from hosting World Cup soccer matches. So my question is, if Trump shows up in Seattle anytime soon, is he going to say Seattle's safe or we're okay hosting our World Cup soccer?
Yeah, I mean, look, we know that Seattle can be safe. They did it for Taylor Swift. They did it for Major League Baseball when they said, okay, we're going to keep it out of the areas where this stuff happens, and we'll let the crime be everywhere else. The question is, can Seattle keep it up? And if Katie Wilson's in charge, just watch what's going to happen next, James. Just watch.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, always a pleasure, man. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Speaking of what happens next, what's going to happen next with the government shutdown? When we come back, my friends, the Seattle Times is trying to get the Democrats sympathy for their shutdown using Seattle's worst museum. Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Day 3 of the federal government shutdown, and my life has not changed at all. That is not to diminish people who rely on a government paycheck and live paycheck to paycheck who aren't getting those paychecks. But we know very, very clearly why this shutdown is happening. The shutdown is happening because the Democrats want $1 trillion in spending on ridiculous things, including social services for illegal aliens, and don't care as much about you or the federal workers they claim they care about. Now, I am shocked, absolutely shocked, that so far the mainstream media hasn't really turned on Republicans yet-ish. Yet-ish. Yeah, let me be clear about that. Because they know they don't have the facts on their side, and usually they lie. So they're just kind of covering the press conferences and using that, even though the talking heads at night will spin things however they want. The Seattle Times is trying their very, very best to make Republicans look bad. And the reaching that they're doing has reached new levels of insanity. I'm still on the Seattle Times email list, so I still get their emails all the time, even though I unsubscribed from them ages ago. And I got one that said, federal shutdown closes Seattle Park. And I said, well, of course things are being affected, but I wonder which one they're so worked up about. When you click it, the headline is not matching the story they told you. The true definition of clickbait. Ready? Government shutdown closes Seattle's Klondike Gold Rush Museum. Okay. Longtime listeners of the Ari Hoffman Show will know that I think this is possibly one of the worst museums in Seattle. Mike, what was it? 3 months ago, they said they were closing because nobody went? That was the discussion? So now you're saying, oh no, the museum that nobody goes to is closing. Let me tell you a little story for those of you who may have missed it about the Klondike Gold Rush Museum. I have been to good gold rush museums. There is one on the way to Whistler where they have a mine and you can pan for gold and other minerals. I've been to the one in Chicago. The one in Chicago in the Museum of History and Industry has a working mine, a coal mine, and you can pan for gold. The Klondike Museum, not great. In fact, it's so not great that one time when I sent the synagogue camp over there as a trip, thinking this looks interesting, a little educational, let's send the kids. So when they came back, I said to the director, so how was the trip to the Klondike Gold Museum? And they said, how much you pay for it? I said, immediately, that's a bad sign. I said, well, it was free. And they said, you overpaid. If people like this museum, they would go to it. But it's not that great. So for the Seattle Times to be trying to say, oh, the government shutdown is closing the Klondike Gold Rush Museum. I did a little Google search before the show, Mike. I wanted to see what tourist attractions come up when you put in Seattle. Page 1, the things you'd expect, Chihuly Glass, Space Needle, Argosy Cruises, the Ballard Locks, all the kind of stuff around here. Then you get the Flight Museum, the EMP, all that. I couldn't even find the Klondike Gold Rush Museum in any of those listings there. It's like nobody ever even goes to this place. It's a hell of a reach, the Seattle Times. Oh, the Gold Rush Museum. Oh, no. By the way, it's not like this is some long-time museum. It only opened in 2005. It's not like we're losing a piece of Seattle culture. Do I wish it was a better museum? Sure. I find this stuff fascinating. But it's a little one office space in a building. I'm sorry, you're limited by what your budget and resources and fundraising, and unfortunately not that many people want to go to your museum. But the Seattle Times trying to say, if we don't reopen the government, we're not going to get back the Klondike Gold Rush Museum. That's a one-room little nothing. Oh, ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Stilgar in Issaquah. Stilgar, what's going on?
Oh, well, when you hear lefty politicians start with, let me be clear, you best be prepared. You best be prepared for an Olympic caliber smokescreen BS session.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that clear is the last thing they're going to be.
Which one are you referring to specifically? The Bruce Harrell clip I played before?
Well, yes.
Yes.
Exactly. But it doesn't really matter because you just know that that's what's going to happen. Because I think the problem is that they don't have either a moral compass or values of their own. So they really don't have the ability to make a forthright statement.
Well, let me tell you this.
Somebody,
As a guy who studied speech and studied drama and studied body language, several things are happening at once. One, it's a stalling tactic so he can think. That's number one. Number two, I was taught that anytime you're in a debate with somebody and you use the terms, let me be clear, let me be honest, truthfully, the audience automatically goes, why weren't you truthful with us beforehand? Why weren't you clear with us beforehand? Why weren't you honest with us beforehand? Whoever is prepping Bruce Harrell is doing a terrible job. By the way, whoever is running his campaign is doing a terrible, terrible, terrible job. Stilgar, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from our frenemy, Bennett the protester, who's down in Portland. Bennett, what's going on?
Oh, hey. Oh, look out.
Did we just lose Bennett?
Sorry.
Did we just lose Bennett?
I'm trapped in the middle of the war zone. Let me catch my breath. Can you hear me?
Bennett, what are you doing, man? Just tell us what you want to tell us, dude. Tell us what you want to tell us.
All right. All right. So, I mean, I did come down to get footage to see what was really going outside the ICE building. You saw the video.
Hang on a second. I got to ask you a question, Bennett. When did you get there?
Wednesday night.
You got there Wednesday night. When did a lot of the stuff we're talking about happen?
Well, the stuff I'm talking, I have a lot to talk about.
No, I understand that, but Bennett, you missed the assault on Katie Davenport, right?
Okay, I know that it happened. What
I'm saying is you missed over 90 nights of this insanity, and now you want to show. Look, Bill Malugin, if he hadn't interviewed the ICE director, I'll say, what are you doing down there, Bill? You just got there. You missed the last 90 nights. Nick Sorter got there last night. I would say the same thing to him. You got there on Wednesday. You missed the last 3 months of this.
But what I'm showing is an example of what the ICE agents did, which I think can go a long way toward explaining how this is happening. So I don't know if you watched the video I sent you yet. People can go on Twitter, Bennett Hazelton. You can find me. It's a man and a woman standing and talking to a group of officers. It shows about 10 seconds of them just standing there and talking to them. One of the officers pulls his pepper spray out and just unloads it in the woman's face.
Okay, so Bennett, I'm not defending anybody. I haven't seen the video yet. Haven't had a chance to go look at it. I will look at it after the show today. But here's something else. You know the problem with what you're doing and what Katie Davenport is doing, with what Nick Sorter is doing, and what Fox News is doing? The problem is you guys get these snapshots. Right? Snapshot. And anybody can use them to paint a narrative. I'm not defending the ICE agent. I haven't seen the video you're talking about. But for all we know, these people have attacked this ICE agent before, and he's holding a grudge because they're still people. For all we know, these are people who have assaulted them before. You're showing us one little snapshot 3 months after this has been going on. I don't think it proves a case one way or the other. It's like when people see something happen on a subway. So you see something like, for example, what's his face? Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny. No, hang on a second. Daniel Penny. The video starts after people realize something is going on. This has been going on for months now. So now anybody who comes to town is going to say, well, it's a block party, it's a street fair, but so many people don't want to risk getting arrested now. We don't know what happened beforehand. I'll give you the last word, then I got to run.
Okay, I mean, the video that I posted, I'm intentionally showing all the time leading up to that moment because I didn't want a bunch of people saying, oh, she must have hit him. Oh, she must have done something. If he remembered that she had done something illegal earlier, the thing you do then is when you recognize the person, you arrest them. You don't let them talk to you for 10 seconds and shoot you in the face with pepper spray. But to your other point about snapshots, I'm intentionally recording all of the entire evenings that I'm here with the GoPro because I want to be able to show the entire stretch of the night,
then, Bennett,
not just the accusers taking clips.
I respect that. Here's what I recommend you do. Instead of recording it, stream it. Stream it, because what was very effective during the autonomous zone and very helpful, when I said something happened to me and somebody else said, no, it didn't, I said, go look at the live streams. You can see it happening now on the live stream. You can go back. Rather than just recording it, I recommend you stream it. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Speaking of perception, Netflix is being perceived as having gone completely woke, but has the right lost their minds on this one. We'll discuss when we come back, plus more of your calls and texts. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I know a lot of people are all worked up with this trans content that's in Netflix. I get why you're worked up. You want your electronic babysitter to be kosher so your kids can watch it. That's what you're looking for, so that you don't have to worry about what they're going to watch next. I hate to break it to you guys, you can't control that. Once you allow this stuff into your house, whether it's Disney, whether it's Netflix, whether you have parental controls on it or not, by the age of 5, your kid can figure out the way around your parental controls. How do I know this? Because my kids were able to do it. Disney Plus these days. If you are scrolling on Disney Plus, what do you get when you scroll down enough on Disney Plus? Hulu. So that way you can get the 20th Century Fox movies. I saw Die Hard and Die Harder and Die Hard with a Vengeance all down there. So that means 2 things. 1, if a kid's on Disney Plus, they can get rated R content. And 2, John McClane is a Disney prince. Those things are all true.
I blame you for this because you had been advocating that for years before those movies and that content showed up on Disney Plus. I blame you, Ari Hoffman.
You are probably right. It's good to know that the Disney people listen to the Ari
Why
Hoffman show.
isn't the 20th Century Fox content on my Disney Plus? I want to watch John McClane even though I own all of it on DVD.
I don't own the most recent one on DVD, I don't think.
Well, you're better off.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think hey, Hank Williams Jr., who owns that?
Nobody.
Exactly.
Exactly right. Yeah, Mike's 100% right. I've been advocating for this for a while because you want to have more content on there. I get it. It's all there. Now, people expect when they go to Disney, you're going to get clean content. People expect when they go to the Children's Television Workshop, you're going to get clean content, and that children's content isn't infested with all the stuff. Guys, you have no idea the stuff they're putting into this anymore. This isn't the 60s. This isn't the 70s. This isn't the 80s. All this stuff is loaded with messaging for your kids. If you want your kids to watch TV or have an electronic babysitter, guess what, guys? You have opened your kids to this world. If you get your kids a cell phone, you have opened your kids to this world. My biggest regret as a parent was getting my kids cell phones too early. That's on me. That is 100% on me. It's like crack cocaine. They're addicted to the stupid things. I got one son in the Israeli army right now. He's not allowed to use the phone half the time. Hopefully that cracks him of it. I got another son who's learning in yeshiva who doesn't have access to the thing all the time. That's Jewish seminary. Hopefully he doesn't have access to it all the time. Hopefully that's going to crack him of it. The daughter, she's still in the house. I still take away that thing at 9:30 every single night, and I still know that she's addicted to it. My biggest mistake as a parent was letting that garbage in the house. And I'm like, yeah, let's show the kids the fun movies. But when you do that, you open them up to everything else that's out there. Just leave your kid alone on YouTube for 10 minutes and watch what they come up with. It suggests this, it suggests that, it suggests something else. Why does everybody in my house watch murder shows all the time? At some point, you have to take parental responsibility. You want to boycott Netflix for doing this? Fine, boycott Netflix. But at the end of the day, there is parental responsibility for what your kids are watching and what you let your kids be exposed to. That's my 2 cents on this whole thing.
I am really tired of these posts from libs of TikTok and these posts from Elon Musk. Mr. Musk, I'm sorry your kids hate you, but I am wondering if Elon Musk is in cahoots with Angel Studios or something. Because I feel like Elon Musk is specifically mobilizing a campaign against Netflix. Because, like, all of these posts have to do with, like, shows that have been, like, ended or canceled. It's like, they should cancel this woke program.
Right.
They did it 3 years ago already. What are you talking about?
That's the other thing. And when certain influencers like Lives of TikTok see Elon Musk putting it, they go, oh, okay, if I post it, maybe Musk will retweet it.
And now these knucklehead sheep that are just like, oh, look at my screenshot of how I followed am I good enough for you, Elon? You know, it's like, whatever. He's not going to like you.
Right. Exactly.
This
Sorry.
is nonsense.
You're not going to get a free Tesla, guys. This is just manufactured.
And also, that's an electric car. You want to own the libs? Congratulations. You bought an electric car, you dummy.
Oh, so good.
Stupid.
So good.
Yeah, but also, last thing.
Yeah.
On libs of TikTok, they're like, I'm all pissed off about this because they went after a Transformers show 3 years ago and said, oh, man, this character uses they, them pronouns. They say they're non-binary. First of all, they're a robot.
Yes.
But also it's like, oh, man, they're coming after your kids. Cancel your Netflix and all that. That was 2 years ago, and they're still posting and came back around it for more.
Right.
So I went after him and said, well, hey, wait a sec. Why didn't you cancel your subscription 3 years ago when you were posting this about this?
Exactly. Why are you still looking at it
Pepperidge
now?
Farm remembers.
There you go. Exactly right. If you cared that
Dummies.
much, you would have canceled it back then. Do we not want this stuff in kids' programming? Yes. But if you let your kids watch this kind of stuff, you're opening them up to a world where there's this plus infinitely worse. That's pop culture, guys. And
Spare me your virtue signaling nonsense.
There we go. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we come back, more of your calls, more of your texts, and more sex offenders are being released from McNeil Island. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the principal who mocked Charlie Kirk's assassination is back on campus at a local high school. But before we get to any of that, we go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Adam in Sumner. Adam, what's up, man?
Well, I'm having a really hard time choosing my words with this, so they're probably a poor choice. But what is it with all of the Islam videos absolutely blowing up social media?
So there's a reason for that, and it depends what platform you're on. But let's do this for a second. Just from a sheer statistical point, how many Muslims are there in the world?
Is it like 3 billion?
It's 1.2 billion the last time I checked, right? I do love when they say only 10% of them are radicalized. Some quick math. 10% of 1.2 billion is how many people? 120 million. So you're saying 120 million, almost half the population of the United States is radicalized. Oh, I feel so much better now. So when these things get pushed, you have that. Now add on the college kids. Now add on all the activists. Now add on all the bleeding heart liberals. Now add on the people, as God Saad says, with suicidal empathy. That's how you get that. Now, before we even get to a lot of these streaming platforms, like TikTok, for example, push these things up because they want to push this kind of anti-American messaging. Now put in ads. Now put in they're being paid to be shown sometimes, and that's your answer, Adam. Does that sum it up for you?
Yeah, so let me get to to more of the meat of my question. Because I'm seeing these marches in Texas, marches in Idaho, a mayor in Dearborn, a mayor in Ohio, a mayor potentially in New York, congressional leaders, it's on and on and on. And my question is when do we worry and what do we do about it? I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. When do we worry? Obviously now, but I mean, like, when do we worry and what do we do about it?
Great question. The time to worry was years ago. Now is the time to panic. That's where we're at right now. It's not because they're Muslim. I know plenty of Muslims who don't want to kill me. The problem is you have a lot of people who are backing jihad. You have a lot of people who are backing the globalized, the intifada, not the enchilada. They're saying that, and as a result, you're having this problem. So, for example, we're going to talk about this later in the show, but what happened in Manchester in the UK yesterday? They opened their borders to whoever wanted to come, had uncontrolled mass immigration. As a result, they now have in Manchester 22% Muslim population. And because they have a 22% Muslim population, now 10% of that population is radicalized. Do you know the name of the guy who went on the stabbing spree after driving a vehicle into a crowd of Jews in front of a synagogue on Yom Kippur, who also was wearing something that looked like a bomb vest? Do you know what his first name was?
Muhammad?
Oh, you're so close. Jihad. His first name was Jihad. I kid you not. So that's how you get this situation. And in places like the UK, you can get arrested for liking a meme, but you can name your kid Jihad. Oh, by the way, he was out on charges for rape. He was on parole. He was not on parole. He was out on bail for charges of rape, this guy. And his parents celebrated October 7th. The time to panic was years and years and years ago. Now it's full on chaos. You know how else we get this? We get this because so many places we go, not worth voting, or I'm going to vote for the lesser of two bad candidates, and then they keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse. That's how you get a Bruce Harrell versus Katie Wilson. You know why Bruce Harrell's having so much trouble winning this election? Because nobody can think of a good reason to vote for Bruce Harrell except for he's not Katie Wilson.
Right. And, let me be clear. I work with Muslims, and I can say the same. Obviously, they're not all bad. But you do have the bowl of poison Skittles theory, and that still applies.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, here's something. I don't know if I've ever told the audience this before. When I was growing up, I had two kids who lived down the block from us that we played with all the time. We raced remote control cars. We played Contra. They taught me the Konami code. This is who taught me the Konami code. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, BA, select, start to get the 30 lives and unlimited weapons in Contra. You know who taught me that? My friends Sajid and Saad. Two Muslim kids. The funniest part of this relationship was my mom talking to their mom because kosher is stricter than halal, so they can follow our symbols, we can't follow theirs, and they want to know which local kosher symbols they could use when shopping for products. Right. But, everybody calls me an Islamophobe, right?
Right.
Yeah. Adam, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Jeff in Gig Harbor. Jeff, what's going on?
Hi, Ari. I got a question. I'm sure you've had conversations with people you perceive to be pretty doggone intelligent. Maybe, I'm not sure what that would be. Let's pretend a doctor, a dentist, whatever. You have to have good grades. You have to have good retention, a good mindset, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you. I've got those friends, like I just discussed, that don't have the common sense that, to me and most conservatives have, and I'm just confused. Have they ever done a study, a medical study or some type of study where they interview these people and there's some mental illness? I don't want to insult anybody out there, but I truly, truly do not understand how you would comprehend that less law enforcement would be good where it's costing people's lives.
All right, Jeff, here we go. Ready? I'm gonna do this for you in sports analogy. Are you a sports fan?
Yes, sir.
All right, what's your favorite team?
I hate to admit that it's not Seattle. I like the 49ers.
You like the 49ers. Okay, that's fine. You like the 49ers. That's fine. And don't boo Jeff on the text line, people, okay? Don't do that, all right? So here's the thing. Now, what's going to make you become a Seahawks fan?
Maybe a transfer of some talent from the Niners to Seattle.
But basically what happens is, as well as I do, most sports fans go, nothing would make me become a fan of the rival team. Nothing in God's green earth will make me cheer for the New York Yankees, not in a million years, because I am a Mets fan. When I moved here, people would say to me, so when are you going to become a Mariners fan? And I said, clearly you're not a sports fan. Also, you seem not to know that the Mariners never made it to a World Series before, so it wouldn't really improve my odds. Now, maybe that'll change this year. We're all hoping for it, right? But nothing makes you change your team. So what do? You get completely delusional about your team, and you say, I am going to root for this team no matter what, even if they suck. This is the year! This is the year! Right? And they continue to suck, and they continue to break your heart, but you still have the belief, and then the cycle starts over and over again. Now, adapt that to politics for a second. If you decide you're a Democrat, or you decide you're a Republican, how much is it going to take for you to walk away from your belief system that has now become a religion, or a guidebook principle, or your fundamental beliefs as to how the country should run or anything else? Even if something proves you wrong, you need 3 things with cited sources, and then maybe you'll consider you're wrong on one issue. And then all of a sudden you'll magically say you're an independent even though you're still a Democrat. Maybe that'll happen. But most people don't want to be wrong. Now add on to that the fact that what people are being taught is stuff that backs up, no, here's why the Democrats are right in college, in high school, in grade school, in kindergarten. Why are they trying to control all the methods of influence and education? Because they know then they can shape people who will stick to those principles regardless of what's thrown at them, if they call it fake news, misinformation, disinformation. So, does that answer your question, Jeff?
Somewhat. I still see these guys will sink with their own ship. They don't care. They'll take everybody down just to prove that they're right. I don't even know. It's mystifying to me.
Yeah.
As with a lot of other people I've had the same discussion with.
Yeah, and unfortunately it happens. There's a lot of people who just don't have the common sense gene. I got a lot of friends where we can make fun of each other. I got a lot of friends who will go, like my favorite were the people who go, they were hardcore liberals, and they go, Ari, I'm voting for you. I'm voting for you because you happen to be somebody I could talk to on the other side. which I took as a huge compliment. But at the same time, I said, you guys realize what you'd be voting for if it wasn't me, or if it wasn't this, or if it wasn't that. So you want open borders. So you want higher taxes. So you want more criminals running around. So you want chaos on the foreign stage. You want a weak national defense. What exactly are you voting for? What do you support here? Jeff, great conversation. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Do you guys remember McNeil Island? The Special Commitment Center at McNeil Island, that's where we send the level 3 sex offenders who can't be around our population. You remember when the Democrats said we want to depopulate the island, so we want to release all the sex offenders? It was so bad we made a parody commercial about it.
Washington State's McNeil Island is a beautiful long vacation destination for level 3 sex offenders. Now, Jay Inslee, Bob Ferguson, and Washington Democrats are bringing the experience to your neighborhood. Department of Corrections Tours is sending the offenders to beautiful halfway houses with no guards and no security on sprawling properties in rural residential areas. Who needs safety when you can feel good about yourself with virtue signaling? If you're asking yourself, how can I be part of the fun? Chances are you are already. No one is informing the neighbors. So look out your window and find out if you've been selected as one of the lucky recipients of a level 3 sex offender in your neighborhood. This message unfortunately not sponsored by the Department of Corrections and the Department of Social and Health Services. May the odds ever be in your favor.
I wish that thing was more of a parody, but unfortunately it's true. Unfortunately, every single word is true. As Han Solo would say, it's true. All of it. Now, the Center Square had an article that I saw when I came back online last night. The man who became known as the South Hill Rapist. Time out. He's so bad he has a nickname. Normally, 1 count. Here, this is it. This is what you get. He's the South Hill Rapist. We had somebody earlier today try to convince us he only had 1 rape charge. Oh, that's why he's the South Hill Rapist, where he's got tons of sexual assaults from the late 1970s? Yeah, guess what? They're releasing him to one of these unsupervised homes in Federal Way, Washington. The South Hill Rapist. As reported previously, Kevin Coe was accused of committing dozens of sexual assaults in the late 1970s to early 1980s in the Spokane area, crimes that terrorized the community for many years. Several convictions were thrown out due to inadmissible evidence, including victims being hypnotized to recall alleged rapes, such that Coe only ended up serving time for 1 rape conviction. Can we stop right there? Oh, he only had 1 rape. Yeah, let's let him go back into the neighborhood. I'm sure he'll be fine. Here's something else. Do you know that level 3 sex offenders are the most likely to re-offend and the ones who can't be rehabilitated? That's why we stuck them on our own Alcatraz for pedophiles, because they're that dangerous. You don't end up there because, there was a DNA mix-up. You don't end up there because of 1 charge. You end up there because you are a psychopath and are more likely to do it again because something is broken in your brain. And put it this way, mental health science wasn't what it is now in the 1970s and 80s. I'm not talking about all the trans stuff and things like that. It was still more rudimentary, and even back then, they could recognize this. He was sent to McNeil Island after civil proceedings in 2006, where he was deemed to be a sexually violent predator, as he had not participated in treatment programs during his prison term. You got nothing else to do during the day. Shouldn't you participate in these things so you can get back into society? I like that this keeps coming up. I got arrested for speeding, evading pursuit, and running 2 red lights. I spent 3 hours, 6 hours in jail, something like that. And I said, I am never going back for this ever, ever, ever again. Dumb teenage Ari Hoffman. Somebody who's stuck there for years, why would you ever say, I don't want to do everything I can to possibly get out of here because something is broken in your brain? Experts say he no longer fits the criteria for confinement at McNeil Island, not because he's been mentally cured, but due to his advancing age and disability. So wait a second. Because the dude's in a wheelchair, you think he can't be a perv anymore? I know plenty of old people who are pervs. It's like, come on, are you serious about this? Are you kidding me with this? That's what you're saying? Here's something else. his victims never get their life back. The mental health problems they have, that's a lifelong thing he did to them. According to KHQ TV, several people provided impact statements ahead of the judge's decision to release Coe. I listened to some of these last night. I did not want to put them back on the air. Not because they weren't powerful, but because they were too powerful. I got pretty emotional listening to these, and these were the abridged versions. People whose lives are destroyed forever because of this guy, and he gets to go into an adult family home? What about the safety of the people in the adult family home? Oh, he can wheel across the floor perfectly fine just because he can't leave. Doesn't mean it's safe for the people in the home. Why is it Washington Democrats love to say they're all about justice for the criminals, but let's put a trans man in with a woman who's in a cell block. Let's put this sex offender in a family home. Let's send COVID-positive patients into the nursing homes. Are you kidding me with this? This is the Democrat plan. And local officials can't stop it because this was done at the legislative level, this was done at the attorney general level, and this was done at the governor's level. Jay Inslee, Bob Ferguson, Washington Democrats, their move is to depopulate McNeil Island. Now, if you say to me, Ari, McNeil Island is expensive to operate because it's an island and has unique challenges, and they'd be better off at some prison in the desert like in The Longest Yard. Cool, I'm with you. But why is your solution for depopulating a prison that's expensive to operate, release them? That's what doesn't make any sense whatsoever in this craziness. So a guy who has refused treatment, has refused to participate in treatment, you now say, no problem, let's let him go. Are you kidding me with this? This is the Democrat lawlessness, and it defies belief that they think it's okay to just release these guys. And the worst part is, if some of these outlets hadn't found out about it, we wouldn't even know. The joke of that parody we played earlier, may the odds be ever in your favor because they're not informing the neighbors. Who would want to live next to one of these guys? I know we all joke about the red dot map. How many of you have actually looked it up recently? I'm sure when you're buying a house, you probably looked at it. Have you looked at it recently? Probably not, because you don't even know how many of these suckers are living near you. This is a real problem. A real problem. And as a result, more people are going to be put at risk. I don't care if the dude's using a walker. I don't care if the dude's in a wheelchair. What about the people in the house he is with? And I don't care if they're criminals. You don't know what they did, what they didn't do in halfway house situations. It could be anybody in there. And yet this is what Bob Ferguson wants when he says, I want more police to be tougher on crime, but doesn't actually want more police to be tougher on crime. This is what Jay Inslee did. This is what Washington Democrats did. Representative Jenny Graham, whose sister Deborah was murdered by the Green River Killer, told the Center Square this man refused to do any sort of treatment whatsoever, has not taken responsibility for the lives that he absolutely horrifically either destroyed or affected. I feel terrible for these victims, but this is, again, another stark example of victims not really being considered in the justice system. So he does this amount of harm, doesn't participate in any kind of training or rehabilitation, and will not take any accountability for what he has done, and now they're going to let him out. Additionally, there are questions about whether or not this guy is actually even in a wheelchair or if he's just faking it. This guy had a name, the South Hill Rapist. That's how bad he was. He was convicted for this, and now they want to let him go? Do you remember when Jay Inslee and the Democrats wanted to release the Green River Killer during COVID? Because COVID. Because of the flu. Let's release Gary Ridgway and all the other psychopaths. Anytime Democrats say they want to make the state safer, just point to McNeil Island and go, why aren't there more people on McNeil Island? Why are you releasing them into the community? It destroys the argument. It stops it dead in its tracks. You know what other arguments are happening around here? What's going on in the schools, especially one school in particular around here, where the principal stepped away from being principal after backlash to a post he made mocking Charlie Kirk's assassination. Guess what? Now he's back in the classroom. I'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. KVI listeners are the best listeners in the biz because they send us great stories. Unfortunately, it usually means something's wrong where they live, where they work, or where their kids go to school. Parents in the North Shore School District told us they were blindsided this week after spotting Principal Eric McDowell back on campus just weeks after he announced he was stepping away from North Creek High School following public outrage over social media posts mocking the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Their kids reported seeing McDowell on school on Monday, September 29th. Parents quickly contacted the school and the district to ask, what's up with this? While North Shore Superintendent Dr. Justin Irish has ignored every single email we have sent the district, parents forwarded us the emails he sent you. And here's the form response he's sending to all of them. Quote, Mr. McDowell has returned to North Creek High School as of Monday, September 29th. As previously shared, he chose to voluntarily step away to reflect and help focus the school on teaching, learning, and most importantly, our students. Pause. I predicted the future. What was it? 2 days ago? 2 days ago. We found out he may have been back on campus. And I said, if he is back on campus, watch. They're going to issue some kind of statement which says, well, he chose to voluntarily step away. We didn't fire him, so that's why he's back. That's literally what they are saying. Go check Wednesday's podcast when we first started talking about this. Quote, due to formal complaints regarding his personal social media post, stop. It doesn't matter if it's personal or professional. It's still him. People don't have bipolar disorder in this case just because they have a social media account. Oh, wait a second. You might be able to make that case. No, he doesn't have an alias. He doesn't have a secret identity. Both accounts are run by him. In alignment with our standard process, a third-party investigation is underway. This is a personnel matter, so no additional information can or will be shared. You know what's fascinating to me? You sure shared a lot of personnel information in the beginning of that. The district did not specify whether McDowell's role is temporary, modified, or full reinstatement, leaving many families frustrated and confused. Now, for those of you who don't remember what this guy did, he drew national attention. He went viral when he posted an Instagram story that said, right after Charlie Kirk died, he took a screenshot of one of those thoughts and prayers for Charlie Kirk while we all thought there was a chance of him surviving. And he wrote, thoughts and prayers. Too bad gun control would have been far, far more effective. Parentheses, he'd still be alive. Maybe thoughts and prayers will work. Oops. Nope. That's what he wrote. That's what he wrote. So you now mocked everybody who believes in God. You now mocked everybody who does prayer. And you now mock anybody who's a fan of conservative values or Charlie Kirk. Well done. How many people in your school have you alienated by doing that? Why are you letting the politics into the school? And if you say, oh, it's his personal page, not his professional page, let me tell you this. Any teacher knows there is no such thing as time off. There is no such thing as a former student. Any teacher knows that when they walk into a restaurant and there's a couple of their students there with their families, oh my God, it's Mr. So-and-so, oh my God. It's like a fish out of water experience. Nothing worse than running into students when you're in the bathroom, by the way. Oh my God, he pees like a real human. Yeah, it's awful. It's bad. Guys, you don't get time off when you're a teacher. You always have to be a role model. And if you don't want that, don't sign up for the gig. So it doesn't matter what you post to social media or not. You still did it. The message, paired with a Pray for Charlie Kirk graphic, was posted shortly after Kirk was assassinated during the speaking event in Utah. Parents and community members called for his resignation, saying his comments were inappropriate for someone in a leadership position at a public school. He issued an apology letter and announced he would step away to reflect. But with his quiet return and a third-party investigation still in progress, many parents are questioning whether the district is trying to sweep the controversy completely under the rug. By the way, this is the MO. I truly believe the only reason Ian Golash got fired from Seattle Public Schools, the guy who denied October 7th happened, the rapes on October 7th happened, the guy who hung posters of Hamas on his walls of terrorists, the guy who took kids to a BLM riot in 2020, I believe the only reason this guy actually got fired is because I set an alarm in my phone to remind me once a month, check in with Seattle Public Schools and see what his status was. And I hope I wasn't the only one to do that. They hope people stop asking questions about it, which is why they let this guy back in the classroom. So they chose him over their own student population. Is he such an amazing principal? Is the school doing so amazing? I would argue no. It's a Washington public school where 2/3 of the kids can't read at grade level, can't do math at grade level. Unless you guys are the outliers on that, I would assume he's just as bad as the rest. And given the fact that he lets his politics into his posts, I would assume he lets his politics into the classroom. I would assume he is channeling what a lot of the teachers he probably helped hire believe in that school. Parents who go to North Creek, how many pride flags are there in that school? How many Antifa flags are there in that school? How many other radical education things do you get sent home with your kids? Send them to me. I want to see them. ARI@kvi.com. That's ARI@kvi.com. Meanwhile, next week, we know that a whole bunch of Hamasniks are planning on organizing students to leave campus. Right now, it looks like most Western Washington school districts in the Seattle, greater Seattle area are affected by this. Issaquah, Bellevue, Seattle, you name it. Lots of schools are joining the list of those walking out to support Hamas. And make no mistake, this isn't pro-Palestinian versus pro-Hamas versus anti-Israel. They are literally walking out to celebrate October 7th. They believe it was a good thing. Lake Washington School District, Juanita High School. Issaquah School District, Issaquah High School. Renton School District, Renton High School and Hazen High School. Seattle Public Schools, Ballard, Chief Sealth, Cleveland, Franklin, Garfield, Lincoln, Nova, Rainier Beach, the Center School, Avanti, Mountain Lake Terrace, Olympia, Tumwater, and more. The amount of schools that are doing this. And so the Issaquah Public Schools, the Issaquah superintendent, said something to the effect of, well, you're going to be graded as absent. Oh, no, watch out. They're literally walking out to support a terrorist organization. That's what they're doing. So what's anybody doing about this? Absolutely nothing. Get your kids out of the public schools unless you want them to be brainwashed to support these lunatics, because that's what's happening. It's beyond nuts. Speaking of beyond nuts, the ADL is in the crosshairs right now of a lot of people on the right because they keep claiming that everybody on the right is a domestic violent extremist, is some kind of radical terror group. Well, my friends, when we come back, I have their data, thanks to a KVI listener, and we've started analyzing it, and I was shocked but not surprised what I found. I'll tell you what I found in their own data when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And if you want bonus Lars Larson, you can catch him at 5:30 today during Lars Unleashed. That's right. Portland is a little bit closer to Lars than it is to us. And Lars is going to be joining us with some updates from Southern Washington of the insanity going on in Rose City. Yet another reason, always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI. Left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. After completely cutting off the ADL from the FBI, FBI Director Kash Patel has cut all ties to the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, I want to read this from Axios because they are not a member of our right-wing media conspiracy, definitely not my little black book of the right-wing media conspiracy. So I want to show you how they've slanted this. But before I do, the Southern Poverty Law Center, much like the ADL, just says, Republican, bad. We must censor it. Anything on the right, bad. We must censor it. So, here's what happened. I'm reading from Axios. Don't get mad at me about the verbiage. FBI Director Kash Patel has cut all ties to the Southern Poverty Law Center, a storied civil rights group that tracks hate-motivated violence across the U.S. Not really. Not really. The separation is the latest example of the Trump administration turning away from civil rights watchdogs by branding them as partisan and discriminatory rather than protectors of marginalized communities. Really? Where have they been since October 7th? They've been supporting Hamas. Where have they been protecting the Jews? The ADL, supposed to be a Jewish organization, not doing that either. Instead, it's demonizing Turning Point USA, probably creating more anti-Semitism and feeding into the narratives of people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Patel wrote in a post on X, the Southern Poverty Law Center long ago abandoned civil rights work and turned into a partisan smear machine. He said their so-called hate map has been used to defame mainstream Americans and even inspired violence. That disgraceful record makes them unfit for any FBI partnership. He added that his decision was in line with the Bureau's new goals to not rely on agenda-driven intelligence from outside groups. Under this FBI, all ties with the SPLC have officially been terminated. Now, their hate map, and this is how Axios describes it. Their hate map is a non-exhaustive compilation. Non-exhaustive? What does that mean? That means doesn't include everything. Probably doesn't include police reports. Probably doesn't include FBI data. Just includes the data they want it to be. But they call it non-exhaustive. Wow. Non-exhaustive. You should say incomplete. You should say slanted. You should say partisan. But it's non-exhaustive. Tracking ideologies that are anti-immigrant, anti-LGBTQ, sexist, racist, or bigoted against religions. I like that you lead with the first two. Anti-immigrant, anti-LGBTQ. The censor did not immediately respond to Axios' request for comment. The severing of ties come 2 days after the Hate Crime Awareness Month when the SPLC criticized the Trump administration for ending funding for hate crime prevention in a news release. By the way, he's right. You want to prevent hate crimes? Prosecute the offenders. Don't prosecute them for hate crimes. Prosecute them for vandalism. If somebody swastikas a synagogue, don't say, oh, what was their motivation? What are they, a Shakespearean actor? No. You say, they vandalized a synagogue, throw them in jail. This is like what Bruce Harrell did earlier. Well, we really need to understand them. Were they abused as a child? Do they have a drug problem? No, they committed a crime. Somebody has to be made whole, whoever they victimized, and they have to be punished. End of story. I got turned around on this. I used to think the hate crime stuff was good. And actually had a long discussion with somebody whose opinion I really, really trust. And they said, it doesn't matter what the motivation was. It matters that they did it. So, whether they assaulted somebody because they were Jewish or because they were Asian or because they were black or because they were Hispanic, it don't matter. It matters that they assaulted somebody. And then, what are the first things they always drop? The hate crimes enhancements. That's one of the first things that always goes. And then after that, they go, well, is it even worth doing anything about this? Like the kids that graffitied up Mercer Islander Middle School with all the swastikas and everything else. They said, well, they also drew a male organ. So can we really understand their motivation? Are they just idiot teenagers? Well, those idiot teenagers still caused damage to a building. That's the problem with hate crimes legislation. Now, something else here is the motivation behind these organizations. So one of our wonderful listeners sent me an email while I was offline. I was able to analyze it last night. What they sent me was the ADL's heat map for Washington. Now, what this thing is, you can report hate crimes to the ADL, and then they put them in a database. Thing is, you've probably seen hate crimes before. Do you report them to the ADL? No, I don't report them to the ADL. Who does report them to the ADL? People who like the ADL. You guys report stuff to me because you want me to cover it. Why would somebody report something to the ADL? Because they want them to cover it. A lot of these incidents, it's fascinating because they do have a category that says, was this extremist right? Was this Islamist? What was this? Now, the numbers I'm looking at go back to 2019. So it's probably a 5-6 year span. They go back to 2019. And what's fascinating is before October 7th, the only thing on this map is mostly right wing, right wing, right wing, right wing. There's a couple of Islamists sprinkled in. There's a couple of left wings sprinkled in. But that's about it. After October 7th, 2023, something fascinating happened. They didn't even track if it's left wing. So some of these lines literally say they're socialist organizations, literally show their left-wing violence, literally show their left-wing supporting Hamas. And the designation is blank. Is this bad bookkeeping? Maybe. Is it something more nefarious? Probably. Because there's an agenda here. There is a clear agenda here to make it sound like every single hate crime is committed by a white supremacist. That there is a white supremacist hiding under every single bed frame in every alley in Seattle. If so, we're not as progressive as you guys like to claim. But that's what they're trying to say. Everything's white supremacy. Everybody's racist. Everybody's a Nazi. Did you see the video of the individual who walked onto the University of Washington campus, went into a building, went into a classroom, and started Sieg Heiling, doing the Nazi salute? Did you guys see that video? I came back online, and there were multiple angles of this. I saw the camera above Red Square, and I see this crowd tearing after this kid. I see somebody's got a cell phone in front of him. I see the video from the classroom. You would think this guy just blew up a building on campus. Am I defending the neo-Nazi? White supremacist? No. This is likely somebody who had a break from reality. But there's a couple things that are crazy to me. One, this lunatic was able to just walk into a building on campus. Let's say he's an actual white supremacist and wanted to kill minorities. You're lucky he didn't have a gun. You could just walk into the UW campus, into any building, into any classroom. Two, the whole school goes chasing after him. I find this fascinating because instead of chasing after the lunatics who were on campus last year, they joined them. But here, everybody can agree, let's punch a Nazi. Let's all go punch a Nazi together, when likely it's somebody with mental health issues, because a normal person doesn't do that. In fact, even the neo-Nazis don't do that. They do that in groups, at marches, with white hoods. And you haven't seen a lot of those around recently. Anybody who's seen the movie PCU with David Spade and Jeremy Piven, this literally looked like a scene out of that movie. So PCU, politically correct university, story about a high school senior who is looking at colleges and ends up at this one super woke college. This movie came out in like 93, 94, due for a remake ahead of its time. So what happens? Everything's beyond progressive, and he manages to tick off every progressive group on campus. So he manages to tick off the minorities, he manages to tick off the feminists, he manages to tick off everybody who's working on their graduation thesis. And the beginning of the movie starts where they are literally all chasing him around the campus. The movie ends with them all chasing him around the campus and going to a rock party. And then they're all chasing David Spade around the campus. Sorry to give away a 40-year-old spoiler alert, but yeah, that's what's happening in the movie. So when I saw this, I said, oh my God, they're reenacting PCU. We finally come to PCU. I should really do a side-by-side of PCU of them chasing this kid all over campus and what you saw yesterday at University of Washington. Now, I like that University of Washington is taking this seriously and going, yeah, we're not going to tolerate this kind of stuff on campus. It'd be nice if this happened a few years ago. A little late, perhaps, but nice that you're finally waking up. That's all well and good. But the left wants us as a narrative to say, see, there are white supremacists everywhere. I saw this on every news outlet. Every single news outlet locally. In fact, I saw it on some national outlets as well. I wish there had been that kind of coverage of what was going on at University of Washington last spring. Unfortunately, there won't be. I wonder how many news outlets are going to cover all these kids walking out of Seattle public schools to protest the Jews next week. I wonder if any of them are actually going to do it. When we come back, my friends, Fake News Friday. Put a smile on your face heading into the weekend. Young Zach from The Morning Ride will be joining us with the latest insane headlines that some are too crazy to believe, but believe it or not, they're actually real. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.
You can rely on.
It's called Fake News.
With Young Zach.
Educate yourself, you fool.
On the Ari Hoffman Show. Talk Radio 570 KVI.
I can't believe there was actually a story about street vendors who are illegal in the real news, not just Zach being mad about it.
I am the news. And as such, I'm going to start with another real news story that I just felt like no one needs to hear, but you're going to hear it anyway. This one's from Cairo 7. Man accused of setting fires to 2 Snohomish County sex shops. I don't think it's supposed to burn.
No.
He was booked in booked for 2 counts of first-degree arson, burglary, obstruction of law enforcement, and controlled substance knowingly possessed with no prescription. Much to his pleasure, he was put into handcuffs.
Oh, no.
That's zany.
No rim shot for that?
Very good.
All
Very good. Very, very
How
good.
dare you?
Exactly.
I'll do the Babylon Bee if you want to just keep it safe. Whatever.
I love the bee.
Okay. Oh, well,
Yes.
yeah.
I like. In fact, I like both of them. As we are in October, it's the Halloween season. Let's just put it out there. I'm here for the booze.
Let's go, Zach. What do you got?
For the Babylon Bee, Dems call for common sense sombrero control.
Jeez.
I gotta say, I love that I was offline for one day. I come back and I'm still laughing at that joke. It's still funny, and the sombreros are getting bigger.
What's funny is it wasn't funny. I didn't find it that funny, and now as time has gone on, it's grown. It's an acquired taste.
I don't know why it's so funny. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, neither do I. It makes no sense. It's not that funny. It's funny because they hate it.
Yes, that's probably why. The guy on Comedy Central who's filling in for The Daily Show was laughing about it.
Because it's funny.
Because it's funny.
More from the Babylon Bee. Pete Hegseth hires Hans and Franz to get the generals into shape because they're going to pump you up.
I'm shocked you know that. Yeah.
I know some things.
Okay.
I've won 3 under 30 on the morning show a total of 9 times.
How many times have you done that?
Well, I've lost 25 times.
9 times.
And tied the listener 28 times.
I see.
Wow.
Okay,
So
that's not bad.
That's why I didn't want to lead with those stats.
Yeah, it's like you're running a soccer team over there. That's a lot of ties and losses.
A lot of nils.
Zach, tell the afternoon show when they can challenge you in that.
Yeah, about 7:20 every morning. Listeners can call into the morning show and play against me at trivia before the year 2000. So trivia questions before the year I was born for their chance to win some great prizes. Fantabulous, totally bitchin' prizes.
There you go. What else you got, Zach?
From the Babylon Bee, researchers believe autism is caused by trains being so gosh darn cool.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, sometimes you need a worthy conductor. And more from the
You brought her, you worthy conductor.
Also from the Babylon Bee. Hey, smart, this man joined the Mets so he could get October off every year.
Oh,
timely.
I love how everybody's
This from
all
a Mariners
excited. Yeah, I was
fan.
going to say, well, it's been 24 years. You're like close to being that old lady from Titanic. It's been 84 years.
Not seen as us, Mike and I in the bullpen going, Mr. Hoffman, how does playoff baseball work?
Yeah, it's like I have no frame of reference.
Was it
Some of us literally, he's like, I was not born then.
Oh my God.
That's like Clay Buck is doing an announcement. We're like, I thought that was the football guy. And Ari's like, yes, but also
Joe Buck.
Joe Buck.
Sorry, what was his
Joe
name again?
Buck. Yes.
Joe Buck.
Zach doesn't know about playoffs. Why would he know what Joe Buck
There
is?
it is. There it is. Nobody should know what Joe Buck is.
There we go. What else you got,
Joe
Zach?
Buck rolls his toilet paper from the front. Last one from the Babylon Bee. NFL hoping to win back conservatives with a Super Bowl performance by a Spanish-speaking man in a dress. But I'll tell you what, if that doesn't work, they'll try illegal hot dog carts.
There we go. We've come all the way back around.
Full circle.
Full circle.
Very good.
Did you see that? Like, I don't know if this is real. I don't know if I support this or not. But some of our knuckleheaded friends on the right are like, you know what we should do is we should have our own Super Bowl party
With Creed.
with arms wide open. And I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time ? I don't know. When I was a kid and they would have like, cartoons on like Nickelodeon or something like that while the Super Bowl halftime show was going on. Like I remember like there was like a special episode of like In Living Color or something like that. But like as I'm an adult, I'm like, don't give me a reason to change the channel because I'm not going to change it back. Also, if this is just a bunch of online right-wing nitwits, don't make me turn on my computer while my television is on. This is a terrible idea.
You take a good idea too, and it's like, we'll have our own Super Bowl halftime show. All right, fine, so be it. And then like, and you know what'll make it good? Creed.
Michael B. Jordan is going to come out and box a guy.
Let me tell you
That'd be
something.
great.
If people didn't watch the Lingerie Bowl or the Puppy Bowl or
I
any
didn't
of
know
those
that
things,
was an option.
Yeah, see, you're like 12. Right. They used to have these things going on other stations
I'm
for the
familiar with the
halftime
Puppy
show.
Bowl.
Right. They have these other things going on. If nobody's watching those, I don't think they're going to switch over for Creed.
Right.
There's a reason they don't do those things anymore.
Well, they'll take you higher.
Yeah. Thank you, young Zach. Do appreciate it. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues, including the latest insanity with Hamas turning down a peace deal and the Trump administration saying, yeah, you're going to FAFO. We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.
And I love women.
Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including a $50 Daniels Broiler gift card, plus so much more. But before we get to any of that, you know the problem with small little news sound bites? Leaves out some really, really big key details. So you may have heard at KVI News at the top of the hour that there is a peace deal that Hamas has accepted in part. Those are their words. That's not how I would phrase it. In fact, let me look at what Hamas actually wrote in their statement. I'm reading from their actual statement. Yes, Hamas has social media, and the statement is not worth the digital pixels that make it up. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, in an effort to halt the aggression and war of extermination being waged against our steadfast people in the Gaza Strip, and based on national responsibility and concern for the fundamentals, rights, and supreme interest of our people, stop, time out. None of their leaders are in the Gaza Strip. Their leaders are hanging out in Qatar writing this. If things are so bad there, how do you have access to the internet? The Islamic Resistance Movement, a.k.a. Hamas, nice rebranding there, beautiful, has held in-depth consultations with its leadership institutions, extensive consultations with Palestinian forces and factions, and consultations with the mediators and friends to reach a responsible position in dealing with U.S. President Donald Trump's plan. After a thorough study, the movement made its decision and submitted the following response to the mediating brothers. Stop. Why are they responding today? Because Trump gave them a deadline and said if he didn't have the hostages back by 5 o'clock on Sunday, he was going to unleash hell on all of them. That's why they're responding today. This is a stalling tactic, is what it is. That's what this is. Now, if the hostages come home, both alive and dead, great, wonderful, fantastic. That's great. That's something we've been wanting. There are 48 hostages left. Over half of them are assumed dead. So you're talking about Hamas has been holding their bodies hostage. Why is Hamas giving in to this one point here? Why are they acquiescing to this? Because everybody says the same thing. Unless you release the hostages and surrender, Israel's not going to stop. So, assuming they actually follow through on their word, and we have no reason to believe they actually will because they haven't before. They have broken every single agreement, every single ceasefire, every single peace deal. They have broken. So why would they do it now? Because they're trying to stall for time. They did not agree to disarm. They did not agree to shut down. The Islamic movement, Hamas, appreciates the Arab, Islamic, and international efforts, as well as the efforts of U.S. President Donald Trump calling for an end to the war in Gaza in exchange of prisoners. Prisoners. No. Israel is holding terrorists. You are holding civilians and dead bodies. There's no exchange of prisoners. For an immediate entry of aid, you guys have been selling the aid. Let's be real about this. The rejection of the occupation of the Gaza Strip, no, not really. Basically, you guys got to leave there, and then maybe they'll let you do it. In this context, and in order to achieve a cessation of hostilities and a complete withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, the movement announced its agreement to release all Israeli prisoners, their hostages, both living and dead, according to the exchange formula contained in President Trump's proposal, provided the field conditions for the exchange are met. In this context, the movement affirms its readiness to immediately enter into negotiation. Whoa. Negotiations? The negotiating was done already. President Trump laid out his 21-point plan, which he had come up with his mediators had come up with, together with Qatar and Egypt and other countries. You don't get to negotiate your surrender to a war you started. There's nothing to negotiate here. Return the hostages and surrender. That's what it's been since the beginning. Why are they giving in now? Because they're stalling for time. Because also, if they actually give back the hostages, they could say, we're not surrendering. Look what nice guys we are. We gave back the hostages. Well, there wouldn't have been any hostages if you hadn't invaded Israel on October 7th, 2023. Let's be real about this for a minute here. You guys started this mess, and you're about to be out of power. They say the other issues mentioned in President Trump's proposal regarding the future of the Gaza Strip and inherent right of the Palestinian people are linked to a comprehensive national position and based on relevant international laws and resolutions. They're counting on the UN to save them. They are counting on the UN to come along and go, well, the hostages are back, so we might as well declare a Palestinian state. It'll be a terror state, just like Gaza, which was a Palestinian state. It'll be a corrupt state, just like the West Bank, Judea, and Samaria are under Palestinian rule of the Palestinian Authority. But now you get a state. Why would that actually work? No. This is them trying to hold on to power. And now they're using the hostages as bargaining chips. So you'll see what will happen. Let's say they return the hostages. Immediately, the ceasefire now crowd will say, time to stop the war. And Israel's going to say, no, Hamas is still in power. And then they'll continue demonizing Israel because it's all about the PR position. I don't know if you guys saw this weekend. Greta Thunberg was part of a flotilla of another 30 to 50 ships that said it was making an aid run to Gaza. Well, they got there yesterday. They got there Wednesday night is when they actually got there. So they got boarded by the Israeli Navy. They got detained by the Israeli Navy, and they're all being deported back to their home countries. Greta Thunberg goes, why don't I get a pastrami sandwich this time like last time? And they said, because it's Yom Kippur. It's a fast day. Where's the good-looking Israeli soldier dude who helped me out last time? Why are there girls helping me out this time? Yeah, that's Greta. So what did the Israeli Navy find when they boarded these ships that were supposedly carrying aid?
I'm sure you guys can guess where I am because it's pretty much an empty room. That's right, I'm inside one of the vessels, one of the largest vessels to come in this Yom Kippur flotilla. And while we're processing this boat, there's one thing missing, guys. All this aid that they were supposed to bring into Gaza, which explains one thing to me, I'm sure it explains to you, that when we and multiple other countries offered them to take this aid and bring it to the Gazans, we could facilitate its safe arrival, they flat out rejected it. And now we know why, because it was never about bringing aid to Gazans, but it was all about the headlines and the social media followings.
Exactly. That's why they called it the selfie flotilla. Because it was all about these fools saying, I'm saving Gaza, I'm going to be detained. They all recorded videos as if they were hostages by Israel. They released those and then they threw their cell phones in the water because they don't want people to know they were coordinating with Hamas, that they're funded by Hamas. There was no aid on the ships. Rome, many other places, Italy, offered to bring all the aid to them so they wouldn't have to run the Israeli blockade. They offered to bring it to Gaza. And they refused. Why? Because there never was any aid. They made a big show about it. They started putting like potato chip bags into plastic containers and throwing them into the ocean. Wait a minute. Wait, hang on. I thought you're all a bunch of environmental wackadoodles. You're throwing containers into the ocean hoping they float to shore? You're polluting the ocean. It's not like they were within sight distance of Gaza. Israel stopped them long before then. That stuff would have just stayed in the ocean most likely. Yeah. They really care about the environment. We know what this is really about. What's happening here is Hamas is trying to stall for time because their leaders are enjoying how much money they get in foreign aid that they use to live lavish lifestyles elsewhere. That's what's going on, and they don't want to lose that. They figure if we give up the hostages, world pressure will come on Israel to end the war. We'll be able to claim it's not about the hostages anymore, so stop the war. Israel, meanwhile, will say, Hamas is still in charge of the Gaza Strip. We're not stopping. President Trump was very excited about this because it is progress, and he recorded a message a little bit earlier from the Oval Office.
I want to thank the countries that helped me put this together: Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many others. So many people fought so hard. This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down in concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive. So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented. But thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East. And we're very close to achieving that. Thank you all, and everybody will be treated fairly.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's actually going to happen. This is a stalling tactic. What is Hamas worried about? They're worried about this. This was Bibi Netanyahu earlier this week when he was at the White House.
But if Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way, but it will be done. We prefer the easy way, but it has to be done. All these goals must be achieved because we didn't fight this horrible fight, sacrifice the finest of our young men to have Hamas stay in Gaza and threaten us again and again and again with these horrific massacres.
And here's something else. Some people like to say, Ari, you're a warmonger. You just want to kill all the Palestinians. You just want the war to continue until you carpet bomb all of Gaza and destroy the whole thing. I've got a son who's in basic training for the Israeli army right now. And you know what? No parent wants their kid going off to war. You're proud of them, but at the same time, you're scared until they come home. That's where I'm at right now. Do I want this war to be over? Absolutely. Do I want it to be over at the expense that October 7th happens again or something worse? October 7th was never something that could have been fathomed by many of us. And yet it still happened. And yet it still happened. So question is, how do you stop it from happening again? In fact, just earlier this week, President Donald Trump said exactly what happened the last time Israel withdrew from Gaza and what happened afterwards.
So let us not forget how we got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago, they withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work out. That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace. They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me. As a real estate person, I mean, they gave up the ocean, right? Ron, they gave up the ocean. They said, who would do this deal? And it still didn't work out. They were very generous, actually. And they gave up the most magnificent piece of land in many ways in the Middle East. And they said, all we want to do now is have peace. And that request was not honored. Instead of building a better life for the Palestinians, Hamas diverted resources to build over 400 miles of tunnels and terror infrastructure, rocket production facilities, and hid their military command posts and launch sites in hospitals, schools, and mosques. So if you went after them, you'd be after them and you wouldn't even realize you ended up knocking out a hospital or school or a mosque. That terrible thing, terrible way to have to fight. No fight is good, but that's a real bad one. So there are many Palestinians who wish to live in peace. Many. I've seen so many of them. And they have support. And I challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny, fully condemn and prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority does not complete the reforms that I laid out in my vision for peace in 2020, they'll have only themselves to blame. We're giving them an amazing footprint, and they have amazing support from the leaders of the Arab world and the Muslim world, the great leaders. These are great leaders. These are unbelievable leaders that have built great countries and very wealthy countries. What the future holds for the Palestinians, no one really knows, but the plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back. Hard to believe when you even say it. And creating conditions for durable Israeli security and Palestinian success.
I don't know if you can actually have Palestinian success. I don't know if you actually can. They've been brainwashed by the Arab world that you just go kill Jews. How do I know this? With what happened this weekend. Something you need to understand about when I'm offline for the holiday: no phones, no lights, no motor cars, not a single luxury like Robinson Crusoe. It's as primitive as can be. That's me on the Sabbath and Jewish holidays. So what happens is I come to synagogue and the security guard, who's not Jewish, says, "Hey, Ari, guess what? There was this stabbing in Manchester. 2 people are dead, 5 people are injured, and this lunatic attacked the synagogue." Now, the other thing we found out over the weekend was that a whole bunch of Hamasniks were buzzing one of the synagogues in drive-bys with Palestinian flags. So unfortunately, the broken game of telephone eventually became that this tragedy had unfolded somewhere in Seattle at a synagogue with people waving Palestinian flags. That wasn't actually the case. As we got more details, it became more horrific. A guy in the UK, in Manchester, which is 22% Muslim, decided to drive a truck into a crowd of people out front of a synagogue on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish year, and start stabbing people. When he got out of the truck, he stabbed a security guard. He stabbed 5 people. Rabbi was one of the people who helped stop him. He was also wearing a vest that looked like it was a bomb vest that hasn't been confirmed yet whether or not it was. This is what you're up against. Would you like to know what the guy's name was before he was shot by police? His name was Jihad. His name was actually Jihad. When they say globalize the Intifada, this is what they mean. In the UK, you can go to jail for liking an inappropriate meme, but you can name your kid Jihad. The country has been taken over. When people talk about, who cares about uncontrolled illegal immigration? The U.S. is a nation of immigrants. You want us to look like the UK? You want us to look like France? You want us to look like the rest of Europe? Because this is the problem they're dealing with. And as if that wasn't bad enough, bunch of people came out, thousands of people came out to rally in the streets afterwards to celebrate it. That's what happened afterwards. UK has fallen. London has fallen, as the song goes. That is what has happened. They are celebrating this in the streets. And you know who's celebrating it? It's not the Muslims. It's the leftist activists in London. Whole bunch of white people celebrating this atrocity out in the streets. Did they attack an Israeli embassy? No. Did they attack an Israeli outpost? No. Did they attack an Israeli store? No, they attacked a synagogue. Because it's never been about Israel. It's about Jews. It's about attacking Jews. Beyond insane. Absolutely beyond insane. This is what you're up against. So Hamas releases the hostages, gets back a whole bunch of terrorist prisoners, and will immediately begin planning the next October 7th or whatever attack they can muster in whatever form. Oh, sure, they may disband Hamas and call themselves something else like the Palestinian Resistance or the Islamic Resistance or whatever it is. Just watch. Just watch. Something new will take its place. Because before the Palestinian Authority, there was Fatah. Before that, there was the Palestinian Liberation Organization. There's the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. There's Hamas. They're all the same. They're all exactly the same. When they say globalize the Intifada, this is what they mean. And people are out in the streets chanting for this. They haven't just seized America's college campuses. They've also seized the UK's college campuses. This is what you are up against. The only difference this time is Israel hasn't stopped. Now, the problem is the rest of the world. The rest of the world is pressuring this because they want it to end so Hamas can rearm. That's the danger here. I'm not very optimistic about this. I hope the hostages come home. I hope the hostages come home. But let's be real about why this is happening. Because Israel went in and bombed Qatar. If Israel hadn't bombed the Hamas heads in Doha, Qatar would have never said, okay, enough of this, enough of this, enough of this. They don't want Israel coming after the heads of Hamas in Qatar, which Israel will continue to do.
I'm pleased to report that earlier today we took another important step toward greater understanding of the region. A short time ago, we had a historic phone call in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Tani, who's really a great person. So we had a great talk, and I was on the phone, and Bibi was talking. Prime Minister Al-Thani was of Qatar. They really had a heart-to-heart conversation. It was a great conversation, I thought. It was productive. It was everything that you need to have something turn out to be successful. And I want to thank Bibi, and I want to thank the Prime Minister. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that's what really preempted this when they said, okay, Qatar's not off limits anymore. We're going after them in Qatar. We'll go after them wherever they are, just like they did after the 1972 Munich Olympics. Rob in Lakewood says over on the Warrior Injury Law studio line, he says the UK attack will wake the UK up. Will it wake up the EU? No, it won't. Unfortunately, it won't. They're going to push for a Palestinian state. Just watch. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, WashDOT has this plan to start giving away land on the side of freeways to anybody who wants it. Well, you thought you had a homeless problem before. You're going to have a bigger one now. We'll give you all the details of what's going to affect your commute when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.